from the hood, champion boxing and sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Oscar De La Hoya. He's been kind of bizarre lately with everything he's talking about as far as Golden Boy being Golden Boy Promotions being worth $1 billion. Him losing Canelo, talking about turning people into pay-per-view attractions. It seems to only have Ryan Garcia as really the only big star. He's been going out here talking about trying to make the big fights with Charlo, Tank, with anyone. Talking about working with all of his enemies, burying the hatchet, and coming together and just making the biggest fights, the best fights for the fans. Okay, but one thing I'll tell you, we know Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions hasn't been the same financially since Canelo jumped ship. Canelo jumped ship and Canelo started making all the money. Like Ice Cube said, drop 4 blank and I'm making all the dough. So Canelo dropped Golden Boy and he's been doing outstanding financially. But De La Hoya has a little secret. Okay, he's got a little secret over there that he's been holding on to. And he's putting all of his eggs in the basket. And I think he may be onto something, okay? And we're talking about Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. Now, he's still learning and growing as a boxer. But old Zurdo, you know who he reminds me of? Every time I watch him fight, it reminds me of when I first saw Jaime Munguia bust onto the scene. De La Hoya pulls this, I call him the alien, this Mexican alien out of Mexico, right? Throws him in the ring with Saddam Ali. And I'm watching that thinking to myself, who is this monster that De La Hoya brought up here and just totally set Saddam Ali up? Like he did him dirty. Saddam Ali clipped Cotto. We know Cotto's on the way out. And then they brought this monster up to just, I think they fought at 152 pounds. And Saddam Ali is really a natural 147 pounder. Really could get down to 140. Had no business hanging around at 154 pounds, 152 pounds. He just kind of caught an outdated Miguel Cotto, and he was able to get the win. But they knew what they were doing. Golden Boy Promotions knew what they were doing. But I remember watching Jaime Munguia fight thinking, Lord have mercy, man. This guy's a monster. Every time he hit Saddam Ali, he hurt him. So when I first saw Zurdo Ramirez fight, I was thinking the same thing. Like, what the hell? This man is almost 6'3". Okay? So where the hell did Oscar find this guy? But for those of you who don't know, man, Zurdo Ramirez is undefeated. Okay? And he's the former WBO super middleweight champion. And this guy's quickly moving up the light heavyweight rankings. Like he is on his way. And when I say moving up, I'm not talking about being ranked number, 4 or 5, 8, 9, 10 by these organizations. This guy's holding a serious position. And as far as KOs, man, this guy has a serious KO ratio, man. Let me tell you a little bit about Zurdo Ramirez because I don't think some of you guys really get it. So he has 44 wins, and 30 of his wins are by KO. So he's about just right around a 70% KO ratio. Okay, so that means he can bang. All right, this man is about 6'3", 75-inch reach. Okay, and he fights at light heavyweight. This is the thing. We look at his recent fights. His opposition, maybe you don't know all of the different names because he was fighting all over the place in California, Arizona, Corpus Christi, Texas, Oklahoma City. And then he had some fights there in Mexico. But he's been fighting around places where, he can get a really good turnout. But he is, at this moment, this is what's so interesting about him. He, at this moment, is in the works to negotiate a fight with Dimitri Bivol. So he may be getting Canelo his revenge because, both of them are from Mexico. And Zurdo is the real light heavyweight. And like I said, this man's standing about 6'3". So it'll be more evenly matched as far as him and Bivol, opposed with a 5'8", 5'7", tough Canelo. So that's already underway. Like they're in negotiations right now with Bivol. So for those of you who are saying, well, how is that possible, and where did that come from, and we don't quite understand how Zurdo Ramirez could be in negotiations with Bivol. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you. So let's just break it down from as far as the ring and how their rack and stack. Okay. So as far as the ring is concerned, Dimitri Bivol is ranked number 1. Then Beterbiev is number 2. Joe Smith Jr. is number 3. Then Zurdo Ramirez is number 4. Okay? And we'll just stop right there. Those 3 names you guys should know. Bivol and Canelo fought. Bivol beat him. Beterbiev and Smith Jr. are about to fight. And the winner of that says they want to fight Bivol for an undisputed distinction. But Bivol can't wait to see who's going to win between Beterbiev and Joe Smith Jr. So it looks like he's in negotiation with Ramirez. And for those of you saying, well, okay, Bivol's the number 1, Ramirez is the number 4 for the ring, still not getting it. Well, let's go and take a look. So when you look at the WBO, Joe Smith Jr. has a WBO strap, but Gilberto Ramirez is number 2. Anthony Yarde is number 1. For the IBF, Artur Beterbiev is the champ, but Gilberto Ramirez is number 4. The number 1 is nobody in the number 1 slot. The number 2 is Boatsi. Number 3 is Anthony Yarde. So you can see in the WBO is Gilberto Ramirez at number 2. For the IBF, Gilberto Ramirez is number 4. And in the ring, he was number 4. But Anthony Yarde is the number 1 for WBO and the number 3 for the IBF. But for the ring, he's not. Let me see. Yarde's not to number 8. Okay. So then you come and look what the WBC has. They have Yarde at number 4, Boatsi at number 3, but they don't have, and Artur Beterbiev has a belt. In the WBA, Gilberto Ramirez is the mandatory to Bivol. So that's how he's getting that fight with Bivol, because he's the mandatory to Bivol. And that's how these sanctioning bodies work. WBA, especially the WBA, they're the ones that's causing all the problems for these guys who are either unified champions or undisputed. The WBA, excuse me, they cause all the problems because they want their money. They want their belt being defended every couple months, because every time that somebody fights for that belt, the champion pays a fee and the challenger pays a fee. So that's how these guys get money. And if the WBA has 7 or 8 belts, every time somebody's fighting for them, they're getting paid 7 or 8 different champions. So that's how they don't want to sit back and wait to see what's going to happen between Beterbiev and Smith Jr. so they can have the undisputed distinction. They just rather say, okay, let them fight. We'll have our guy fight, and our guy will get whoever wins that. Then they'll go ahead and see about the undisputed distinction and make the other guys wait. Or if that doesn't happen, they don't care, because they just want, as long as their belt's being defended, that's all they care about. They don't care about all. They don't benefit from having a fighter be undisputed, because they're just concerned about their belt, and that's it. But Gilberto Ramirez is a very good spot, and that's why you see what's happening between him and Bivol. Now, can he beat Bivol? I don't know, man. You know, when you start talking about having a 70% KO ratio, but you look at the opponents that Bivol's face, look at the opponents that Zurdo's face. It matters, but at the same time, it doesn't matter, because the best boxer isn't the one who wins the fight. It's the boxer who fights the best, okay? And that's just what it is. And Zurdo Ramirez is showing that he has a very sound skill set. And I think that will be a very competitive fight between him and Bivol. Because him and Bivol right now, like I said, you know, it's Canelo's revenge coming. And some people are saying because the Mexican fighter, what's his name, Zurdo Ramirez, he's trying to fight in September against Bivol, and it is what it is, and it seems to be going that direction right now. But we'll see if they can agree on a fight. You know, sometimes when you, depending on the fighters, you get a lot of pushback between who's going to get the lion's share of the purse. But I don't think it's going to be an issue here, man, because Ramirez has long expressed his desire to move up to semi-complete weight as far as a fight with the WBA champion Bivol, and that he cannot get in his most recent attempts of trying to fight Saul Alvarez, because that would be a huge fight in Mexico. But he's trying to get in there with Bivol, so we'll see. We'll see if he can make that happen. But if it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to take place in September, and I guess September is a patriotic month for Mexico. But we're gonna see. We're gonna see what happens, man. But it will be interesting. Some people think that Bivol is the one to beat Ramirez, beat the winner of Smith and Bertabiev, and Bivol's going to be the one at the end of the day standing as an undisputed champion. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what a lot of people feel. I personally think any of those guys can win. Any of those guys can win. I mean, it just depends on who shows up in the ring, you know, and that's honestly how I feel. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. It's just a matter of these guys, you know, signing the contract. But I don't know, man. I don't know. And that's the thing, when you get these guys who come out of, you know, obscurity to just, you know, come on the scene and just start clipping people. You know, it's like with Pacquiao. Nobody even heard of Pacquiao. He came up to the States, found a good trainer, and he just took over, you know? So you always have some of these fighters, they say some of the best fighters in the world just never had an opportunity. They're in the gym. I can remember being in high school, and like our basketball coach used to always come up. We used to all play basketball. In the summer, we used to be up at different gyms, and the basketball coach used to be there playing ball too. And he used to always see a bunch of us. And he used to, I remember, he would ask, you know, because some of us played on the basketball team, other ones, you got too cool and didn't want to play. And he would come up to us in the hallway. Hey, man, why you guys don't come out? Why you guys don't play? And some of us just didn't have a way to get over there. You know, parents working. It just wasn't possible to take us, 15 miles to school, or go and catch the public transportation. Who wants to deal with some, fools, pulling guns and being crazy over color that you're wearing, you know what I mean? But, you did it. But it was just tough doing it. Then, you had being young and teenage years and girls, and nothing was more important than, hanging out with your friends and chasing girls. So what I say all to say that there was more talent in the hallway than on the damn basketball team, right? But if guys would have had a little more discipline and some opportunities to get places, then there would have been more visibility and probably more talent, okay, on the team and competing. And it's the same thing with these boxers, where you got these guys who are in these gyms and they are, putting in work on elite fighters, on champions, but they just don't get the opportunity, or they don't have the discipline, or for whatever reason. And you hear people talk about them. You even hear about the guy Manigault, the basketball player. So he was one of the best basketball players ever. That you would see it. His vertical was crazy, but just never had those opportunities, man. And that's what I think it is with guys like Zurdo. They come out of nowhere, and they just start clipping people. Now, is he going to be able to do that with the likes of Bivol and Bertabiev? I don't know, but we'll find out. But I think he has a good chance. I think for De La Hoya, he really has all of his eggs in the basket when it comes to Zurdo. Because I really think De La Hoya is looking for that next guy that the whole country of Mexico can get behind. Because let's just face it, they're not getting behind Ryan Garcia. Yeah, all that shit, Ryan, Viva Mexico, and all that, when he was over there fighting with Eddie Reynoso and Canelo. He ain't said one damn Viva Mexico since he been with Joe Goosen. None of that. All that shit's gone out the window. All that, I'm turned up. All that, what happened to all that? You know what I'm saying? So, nobody getting behind Ryan Garcia, man. He's a young guy. He's having fun. I think he's a nice kid. Nothing wrong with him. He is what he is, and I respect that when people are themselves. But Mexico's not getting behind Ryan Garcia. Period. They're not getting behind him, man, at all. They're a lot quicker to get behind Andy Ruiz Jr. And because Andy Ruiz Jr., the man speaks Spanish. He basically grew up in Mexico. That's how part of California where he's from, that's right on the border. It's damn near Mexico. And he fought for Mexico in the Olympics, I believe. So it's different. But we'll see what happens, man. But I know De La Hoya is really looking for someone to replace Canelo, but that's easier said than done. I just did a video talking about that. You know, he wants someone to replace Canelo. He needs to find somebody with these unique physical attributes that is going to draw attention to him. And there's just not a lot of, these red-headed, freckle-faced, Irish-looking Mexicans out here that, one, speak Spanish, two, fight with ferociousness, man. Like Canelo is just, he's just a gym. You know what I'm saying? And I know he's not with Golden Boy no more, but Oscar has to blame himself, man. He didn't handle that situation properly. He didn't conduct business properly, and Canelo's a consummate professional. He don't have time for that BS. And he did the right thing leaving him. But De La Hoya is trying to figure it out. But I think if he can get Zurdo, because the Mexicans, and not just them, a lot of people, I'm behind the dude. I like him, but there are a lot of people behind him. But if he can come out here, man, and get that undisputed distinction, then Oscar may be on to something. He may be on to something. But we just have to wait and see. But I'll leave it as that, man. But Zurdo Ramirez he may be on his way. If he gets this shot with Bivol, hey, man, it's steep mountain to climb. But if he can clip Bivol, he may be on his way. But we'll see. I don't know. But that being said, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the channel. Shout out to all the veterans. Y'all keep safe. And as always, I'm in the breeze.